Hey guys, I'm Chef Z and Thanksgiving is here. I gotta do a little stretch because let me tell you, it is the cooking Olympics. Yes, it is. I have a all-star cast of dishes coming your way, starting with this one right here, which is Pastelón. It is a sweet plantain lasagna. If you're Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, you know exactly the awesomeness that is this dish. This dish is sinfully delicious because it combines Maduro, Carne Molida, and cheese. You put it all together and it is just a magnitude of a dish. Now, in order to make this dish, you are going to need my Carne Molida recipe, which, lucky for you, is already up on my channel, and I'll also be sure to link it up here and down below. Let's go ahead and jump right into this recipe. We want to start off by slicing our sweet plantains lengthwise, being really careful not to cut ourselves in the process. I typically cut each sweet plantain into about 3 slices that aren't too thin and aren't too thick either. And once you've sliced up all of those platanos, it's now time to fry them. So warm some oil on a medium to low flame and very carefully fry the platanos. Now, sweet plantains has a good amount of sugar in them, so they'll begin to caramelize almost as soon as you start to fry them. After about 2 to 3 minutes, flip them over and let the other side fried and caramelize as well. Now, it doesn't take too long to fry maduros, so after about another 2 to 3 minutes, they should be ready to come out. So be sure to take them out and then drain any of the excess oil onto a paper towel. We are going to be baking our pastelón later on, so I like to drain any excess oil that I don't need fairly early. We're now going to take some marinara sauce and we're going to spread it all over the base of our baking dish. And I'm using the tomato basil marinara sauce that I already have here up on my channel, but feel free to use whatever sauce that you like or whatever sauce you have in the house. Now we're going to take just a tiny bit of Carne Molida and we're going to spread that all over the base as well. Now I like to create this foundation whenever I'm making lasagna or pastelón just because it helps it not stick to the dish. So now we're going to build the very first layer of our pastelón by taking our maduros, laying them down one by one, and covering the whole dish. We essentially want to cover any gaps, and depending on the size of your baking dish, you may have to cut some maduros in half just like I did here. And now we're going to take a healthy serving of Carne Molida and we're going to spread that all over. As I mentioned before, I am using the recipe that's already here up on my channel, and whenever I use this recipe to make empanadas, lasagna, or pastelón, I do like to drain any of the excess oil. Just kind of as a rule of thumb, whenever you're using Carne Molida and you're going to fry it or even bake it, you want to get rid of the oil, otherwise it becomes a hot oily mess and that's not fun to eat or see. Now we're going to take some mozzarella cheese and we're going to spread that all over. So we've now built our very first layer of our pastelón by adding those plátanos, the carne molida, and the cheese, and we're going to repeat this process until we get to the very top layer. Now, I'm building the top layer here very similar to how I built the other layers. So we're going to lay down some maduros, being sure to cover that whole entire dish and trying our best to cover any gaps. If we have some holes peeking through, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. And then I take whatever little bit of Carne Molida that I had left over and I spread that all over as well, trying my hardest to cover in those gaps as well. Now, this isn't going to be a thick layer of meat like we did earlier, it's just a very, very thin layer. Remember, this is our top layer. And now we're going to take some sauce and we're going to spread that all over as well. Now, I did mention that pastelón is like a sweet plantain lasagna, which it is, but unlike lasagna, pastelón isn't super saucy, so we don't have to go too crazy with the sauce. However, you can go crazy when it comes time to add this very top layer of cheese, because the more cheese you add at the top layer of your pastelón, the bigger the wow factor, and not to mention it's cheese. Who doesn't love cheese? So now that that's ready to go, we're going to add this into the oven at about 350 degrees and we're going to bake this for about 40 minutes. Honestly guys, you can eyeball this. All we're looking for is for that cheese to melt and become beautiful. Now, if you want your cheese to slightly burn and caramelize just like I did here, feel free to broil it for about 2 minutes, keeping a very close eye because we don't want it to burn. And now we're gonna dig into this pastelón and watch magic happen. Oh my God, guys, look at that. Thanksgiving is going to be amazing. If you have any questions on this recipe, visit my website or comment down below. Let me know what's on the menu for your Thanksgiving, and don't forget to come back next week when I have an all new video. Buen provecho, guys.